In this video, we're going to go over the number one tool that I think you need if you've got a tractor or a piece of equipment like an excavator, a bobcat, a skid steer, a boat, an ATV, a Jeep, or even a car, something that you use outside and you need to maintain. And that's a battery-powered grease gun. Now, this video is going to go overall why you should have a grease gun for a piece of equipment. We've got a Milwaukee M18 one here, but regardless, I think you should have a battery-powered grease gun, whether it's this one or another one, and here's why. I talked to my brother-in-law, who is a professional equipment mechanic. He used to work on cars all the time, and he says one of the number one things that when you get a piece of equipment that comes in with issues is that it doesn't have any lubrication, whether it's in the engine or it doesn't have enough lubrication in the joints and other places like axles or loader arms or anything that moves a lot. You need lubrication to keep things from wearing out, but you also need lubrication to keep things out of the joints. And that's what a battery-powered grease gun, I think, really excels at more than a hand-powered grease gun. It excels in a couple different areas. One is pushing stuff out of joints so that you get nice clean grease in there. Two, making it easier so that you're going to actually do it. Three, making it fun. And four, making it way faster than if you are using a traditional handheld grease gun. And the issue is if you're using a traditional handheld grease gun, let's say you got 14 or 20 points that you need to grease up. That's going to take you a while, and by that last point, your hand is going to feel it, as well as you're just not getting the same PSI and pressure through those joints as you are with a battery-powered grease gun. This thing, even in the tightest of joints or lubrication points and zerks, it, I think, has up to 10,000 PSI and can push whatever crap is in and can push whatever stuff is in those joints right out. You'll see it push it out with the grease. So this one's got two speeds here, 1 and 2. And then in order to operate, all you have to do is press the trigger right here, and you'll get grease coming out like we've got right there. Trying not to make a mess. I probably should have done this video outside, but that is okay. So you can see right there, super easy to use. A lot of grease comes out very quick. So if you've got a big piece of equipment, you're going to be able to grease it up and keep everything out of those joints, as well as keep those joints lubricated. Another nice feature of this is that it is very easy to load grease cartridges up in, so that you kind of keep everything clean and you don't just have grease everywhere, which tends to be an issue with the hand-powered grease guns. You've got grease on your hands, you've got grease on the gun. It's just messy loading it up. This kind of streamlines that system so you don't have an issue. So regardless of this or any other style of battery-powered grease gun, I think the biggest thing is that when you make something easier, you're going to be more likely to do it and maintain it. And tractors, equipment, snowmobiles, ATVs, cars are not cheap. And if you can save yourself wearing out a piece of equipment or make it last longer, this is a great investment at a couple $100 versus having to go replace a joint or an arm or fitting or something else, a pinion that has rubbed away or has worn prematurely because you didn't grease it up. And that just goes for anything that is outside, anything that's used outside, anything that's heavy duty. Yeah, you are going to wear stuff out, but the longer you can keep it going, one, the more time you're saving, the more money you're saving, as well as just peace of mind that you know that you are getting a piece of equipment and you're maintaining that piece of equipment for it to last a long time for your investment. Now, this one here is the Milwaukee M18 battery-powered grease gun. Had it for a couple months. I've been really impressed with it. Has done a great job to maintain equipment. Runs on the M18 battery system, so if you already got Milwaukee tools, that's great. I looked at a couple different grease guns, and the issue is that basically I already have batteries for a lot of Milwaukee tools, so it made it easier to get a Milwaukee tool rather than buy a tool and a battery separately from a lot of other brands. But I've been plenty happy with this. Haven't had any issues with it. So couple of features, you can turn it on, but then you can also dial it in to like one grease pump or two, and depending on your piece of equipment, you could actually set these so that it gives you exactly how much grease you want. It's got a little light here, which does come in handy at night or dusk or in the morning or something. It does seem like there's just certain things that you're like, man, I wish I had a light for, and having it on a tool is always nice. And probably my favorite feature is that you do have a lockout here, so that if you've got it locked in place, let's see right there, and I pull the trigger, it's not going to squirt grease all over your car or truck bed or wherever you've got this. And that's nice. When you put it back in your tool bag, you don't want to have like a full thing of grease all over your car. You can switch from 1 to 2. And then over here, we've got a couple other things here. Right here, this is a purge button, which really makes this way easier for when you're loading these up or unloading them, or you got to put a new thing in. So it releases the pressure here. You press this, release the pressure, so that if you're having issues getting a cylinder loaded because there's a little bit of grease left in here, that will let the pressure out and let you load in a new grease tube without any kind of issues. Now, another feature that I really like that's probably underrated on here is the ability to wrap your hose up here. So you can put it here or you can have it this way, and it just keeps everything clean and keeps grease from going everywhere. So I do like that feature, and kind of keeps grease off the actual gun, which, yeah, it's a grease gun, but I'll tell you what, it's not so much about grease on the grease gun. It's about keeping grease off of everything else that is going to be stored with the grease gun, which seems to always be the issue. So you can kind of like put this thing through here if you want, and then you can go like this. And there's a lot of different ways, but this seems to work pretty well for me. You could wrap it around however you wanted to. Kind of fold it back here if you needed to for storage, and then, you know, a little bit more compact package. But it just is nice to keep grease out of everything else. Like, this is much cleaner than my hand-powered grease guns that I've used forever. And now that I have this, I'll never be going back to a non-battery powered grease gun. So hopefully this lasts a long time. And then to add grease in, basically what you do is you pull this handle back, and then you unscrew this whole tube. It unscrews down here. You put in a new grease cartridge, and then you're good to go. The other thing I like about this is that if you got to get to an access point that is really hard to get to, it just sits kind of like on the ground. It's got some feet. It's nice to just sit this thing on the ground and then move the hose wherever I needed to get to a grease zerk, press the trigger, and get grease in there. So that is really helpful as well. But overall, I've been very impressed with this grease gun. But regardless of the brand of grease gun, I do think having a battery-powered grease gun is one of the best things you can do for maintaining a tractor, a piece of heavy equipment, whether it's a skid steer, an excavator. Maybe you've got snowmobiles, boats have grease zerks all over the place as well, cars that you're using off-road. And greasing stuff, like I said, two purposes. One, lubricate the joints, but also get all the stuff that gets in there out of there, blow it out of the joint, whether it's sand or dirt, water, moisture, mud, whatever. Keeping grease in a joint keeps the other contaminants from getting into that joint. So good way to make things last longer and maintain them. Overall, been very happy with this one and hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.